Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits VOD, countless others end up DOA. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Korngut. I am a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Usually, on this podcast, we discuss horror movies that never got made, that never saw the light of day. Well, every once in a while, we like to switch up gears. Today, we are talking about a movie that did, in fact, get made with the filmmakers who made it. We are talking with Emily Bennett and Justin Brooks about their metaphysical nightmare of a movie, Alone with You. Hi, Emily and Justin. How's it going today?
Hi,
Hello.
Josh. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very excited to have you guys here. I was wondering, could you guys introduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
Sure. I'm Emily Bennett. I'm the co-writer, co-director, and lead of Alone with You.
Cool. And Justin, who are you?
Justin Brooks. I'm the co-writer, co-director of Alone with You, and cinematographer, and I guess one of the editors.
They work on lots of cool things that you may know of. I was stalking them online earlier today, and it looks like Justin has some experience in the world of reality TV. Would you say that that's true?
I've got quite a lot of experience
Too
in
much,
the world
I'd
of
say.
reality TV. Yeah.
Emily, have you ever sort of dipped your toes into the world of reality TV?
Only from my couch, honestly. I'm a big fan of watching reality TV, but I've never worked in it. I hear a lot of stories, though.
My very first internship ever was on Big Brother Canada as a PA. It was very difficult. So I look up to these people.
I'll tell you, it takes me around the world, so I can't complain too much. It's a great time to be able to visit those places.
To travel in any capacity is that's the fantasy, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's somewhere that is warmer than where I am.
Yeah, usually I get to go to, it's some African country or India or whatnot. I'm headed to Colombia next week. So I get to escape the cold usually.
Yeah, and I get to stay in the snow and tundra of upstate New York. So, feeling Canada vibes up here.
I don't know what your personal dynamic is. Are you guys just professional collaborators? Are you friends? Can I ask?
We are going to be married.
Yeah,
In fact.
Wow.
we're
So
engaged.
we're engaged.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually moved in with Justin right before lockdown, and then we made 2 short films together, a feature film, moved several times during COVID, and then for some reason he asked me to marry him. So weathered it pretty well, I think.
Yeah, now you know you're going to last. If you can survive making a couple of movies together, this is the real deal.
Truth.
We figured it out.
I want to talk about some of these short films soon because I'm a big fan of Bed, which I caught in its very buzzy festival run. I am a huge fan of existential no escape horror movies. So I'm talking Cube, Dead End, and now Alone with You. And I was wondering, do you guys have a favorite type of horror or a favorite subgenre?
Ooh. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of sci-fi horror. And actually, when you mention Cube, my ears perk up for sure. I love I actually love the entire Cube series, like Hypercube, Cube Zero. I was all for it. It was so much fun, and it was
awesome.
I remember when I first saw Cube, all I could think, and this is, I think before I was even, I knew what to do with my filmmakery kind of brain is all I could think is like how brilliant an indie mind that was like, because it was such a
Mhm.
big story in such a small space, and that was
Mm.
so cool at the time. But yeah, sci-fi horror has always been a go-to for me for sure. I mean, Alien has always been on the top of all my lists. I think Event Horizon is just such a cool film. Like
Mhm.
there's so much in that space that I've loved. Sphere.
Oh, I love Spear.
Sci-fi horror that is always just extra scary for some reason.
I think it's funny because it
Yeah.
actually has that very contained feel to it. It's always kind of
Yes.
a bit of a haunted house, because
Mm.
it's usually in a spaceship or a base or like
But
some
you're
sort of
but you're in blackness. Like
yeah.
it feels very expansive because space is infinite apparently, even though it's still expanding, which I don't understand fully.
Yuck.
But,
Yuck. Yeah.
but you're still so claustrophobic because you have
Yeah.
to be contained within something. So it's that's a good answer. I like
Yeah,
that.
I love.
Uh-huh.
I'm such a sucker for like world building as well. Like if I have the opportunity to just kind of make my own space and just go nuts with it, I love it. I think
Mhm.
that's so fun.
Oh, I'd love to see Charlie in space. But Emily, I was wondering,
That's
what
part
about you?
3.
What about me? Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's gonna sound maybe a little boring, but I love a good haunted house. Like
Mm.
or I
Oh
love
yeah,
a good contained, like just a horror
Hmm.
film that takes place like Your Next is awesome.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
also like The Haunting of Hill House, The Innocents, um,
Oh my God. Good
what is
good
the one with
titles.
Elizabeth Olsen? Oh, thank you.
Silent
Oh,
Silent
Silent House.
Silent
Yeah,
House.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, like all of those, and I know those are like genre. Those kind of jump amongst the subgenre, but I
yeah,
do love. God, there's such an art to taking an old house with like nooks and crannies and ways that like an actual house, and just making some fucked up horror
yeah.
happen.
Hmm.
There's just it's such a classic, and it's like, what are you gonna do with this? Like, you have a house, you can film something here. Go, like I
Hmm.
such a fan of like the innovation that happens in that. So
Yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you are given like a very specific structure. All of a sudden,
mm.
creative
Yeah,
doors just
yeah.
open up. I love that you brought up The Haunting of Hill House because while watching this, something I was thinking of, did you guys ever watch The Haunting of Bly Manor?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Part
I
of it,
saw a
yeah.
bit of it. Yeah.
there's an episode near the end that has a very Alone with You vibe, and I hope that you revisit that series because it struck me while watching.
I think we were watching
Um,
it when we were like editing, and
We were. We
we
couldn't.
had
Yeah.
no attention for narrative. We were just like, we
yes,
have to figure out this film first. Oh, we totally have to revisit that then.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I mean, all that the kind of haunting stuff. It's fun because we were talking not too long ago about like how a lot of this indie film, a lot of this kind of mirrors the idea of like black box theater and
Mhm.
Hmm.
using the audience's own senses to kind of tell your story. And I think a lot of that is what's so cool about haunted house movies is because so much of it is auditory and like really letting the audience lean in and fill in the dark spaces themselves. That's like
Mm.
such a cool aspect of that kind of
Why am I
story.
scared? Why am I scared just thinking about it? I don't know. This is more for Emily, but for both of you. Do either of you have a background in theater?
Absolutely, I do.
Tell me.
Yeah, I am a big theater nerd. Yeah. Like my
Sure.
whole life. So I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina.
Mhm.
And I would go to the Spoleto Festival at the Dock Street Theater. Ultimately, just really fell in love with community theater, and then went to boarding school for acting, where I studied theater at the South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities, a lovely school. And then I went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London for the 3-year program.
Heard of her? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my teachers, honestly, like, I love them so much, but they were like, Emily, you need a backup school. Like, they don't accept anybody there. And I was like, all
Rude.
right, well, whatever. Like, then I really wanted to get in. And I did. Like, I still can't believe I got into this wonderful school. And I trained with like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and Tom
Whoa.
Hiddleston was the year above me. I performed Shakespeare, and it was 3 years of a lot of training and a lot of speaking in a British received pronunciation accent. Absolutely, yes, I love theater.
I played Danny Zuko in my high school
Oh,
musical. So same thing.
wow. Was two thespians among us. Yes, when I was watching your performances, Charlie, I was thinking, yeah, I was really wondering if you had a background in theater. The way that you carried the film, I don't know, it was very impressive. It must be frightening to carry a film on your own and then to succeed. That must feel really good at the end of the day.
I mean, honestly, people like the film isn't out in the world yet, so I'm hoping I succeeded in the eyes of many people. But I so appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I mean, theater definitely prepared me for Charlie because that was a long run. Honestly, though, I did not approach this film thinking that I am the lead and I have to carry this film, because I couldn't do that, because then I would be too scared to
Yes,
play the role.
I bet. Yes.
Yeah. So honestly, my work in this film was just for us to develop the relationships around Charlie, and for us both to like pad me with like just very clear relationships with every single other character in this film, so that I didn't feel alone.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Because you are alone in this film for so much, but there are these other characters that are so important and so interesting, and we'll get to them soon. Before we talk about Bed, something that really struck me while watching and listening to this film was the music. I immediately Shazammed that Gracie and Rachel song, been listening to it. How important was the music to both of your creative processes?
Oh, so important. You need to answer that.
I mean, that's where I come from, music first. I spent my 20s touring in a band. That's how I made my living for years, was just music. And so it's a huge part of my life. And I think in our storytelling for both of us, I mean, anytime Emily's writing, whether it's with me or on her own, there's always a kind of a Spotify playlist in the background. Like there's everything we do is supported by it. So it was such an important part of the puzzle, and something that we were so excited to find in Phil Mossman, who scored the film.
Yeah,
it was so fun being able to talk with him through that score, because we really. Phil and I spoke very seldom about like the technical bits of music, but all three of us would really talk about like the emotion of the scene and where we're going with the story and what is happening in the world. And Phil's
and the relationships and the haunting romance that we really wanted in that main theme. And Justin can speak so technically, and I can speak very emotionally. And I think in that way, we tend to be a really good team. And our crew, who exists only in post in this in Alone with You, I think they really enjoyed that collaboration, because we do attack it from complementary places. And then Gracie and Rachel, I never got to meet them before. We didn't get to meet them before we shot. And then I was lucky enough to meet the two of them. And they're just, I mean, that is the love song of Simone and Charlie. And
it took us a while. We went through a lot of music to find what really spoke to their tone and their love and that relationship. And
it sounded like the ocean. It just
there was a lot to really kind of comb through. And when Emily was the one to bring that Gracie and Rachel tune, and it was just it's got this wonderful haunting tone to it, but it's also just such a love letter. We were so lucky, and so we are so lucky to have them be a part of the film.
And everyone needs to find them and download their music
it's right now.
Yes, I agree. I had never heard of them. I Shazammed them the second I heard it. And not to undermine your project, but the second that needle drop happened, that's sort of when I personally felt like there was something special with this film. So that was cool. The music really heightens everything.
Thank you.
So something I really have been itching to get to is your short film Bed, which I caught during its run. I really liked it. would you both say that there's a chance that Alone with You evolved out of that project? Are they completely different entities? Are they in the same realm?
I mean, both, really.
I think
Yeah.
they were. I mean, Bed was shot. So we shot 2 short films before we shot Alone with You. We shot one of Justin's shorts that he wrote and directed called Pains, which will be on Alter in March.
Cool.
And then Bed will hit Alter in February. I think February 10th. So we shot Bed right before we shot Alone with You, and I think it honestly kind of helped me prepare emotionally to work on Alone with You, because Justin and I we're partners and we've worked on films together, but they haven't been that emotional. They've been more just kind of learning each other, really. And Bed Bed was an important story for me, and it's a different kind of story. And I don't know if you can hear our cat purring in the background.
I can't, but I celebrate that.
That's Barker, by the way.
Oh my gosh, the star! No offense, the true star.
Yes. Let's give it up, Barker Brooks, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
No, but Bed, honestly, it surprised me, because I started developing Bed, the idea that in lockdown, and then I wanted to tell this kind of absurdist. It starts in a bit of an absurd way, and then builds into a very emotional place. That was really important to me to kind of find out how far was I willing to go emotionally working with my partner, because it's interesting to be in a relationship with someone and still collaborate. Like they can be different things sometimes. And it's interesting.
Sometimes they should be different.
And sometimes they absolutely should be. And part of me was like, oh, I wonder if I can go here with him. I wonder if that fits in this and it did. And it was such a great working experience. And Justin dances with me when I'm on camera. It really is a dance. And it just honestly proved to me that we could, really go through some shit together. And that was awesome to find out.
Bed was fun because Bed kind of came from Emily and I have been playing with shorts here and there, and we wanted to give ourselves a challenge, and we talked about it. I've egged her on to. Emily writes such worlds and such deep characters and these stories that have so many places, and so they go into so many emotional places. They're amazing, but we wanted to really give ourselves the trick of let's distill it down to a very simple scenario, and a small, a short film, and see what we can do within these confines. And both of us made our films within those. Emily, Bed is entirely written, directed by Emily. I shot the film, but it's her story. And it's funny. It's actually, and I know you haven't probably seen Pains, because I actually didn't send Pains to anywhere until it'll be on Alter, but they're 2 exceptionally different films, and they're actually fun to watch with the understanding of we're 2 very different filmmakers separately that make an entirely different film together than I think we would separately. I think both of our aesthetics inform the films we do together for sure. But they're not I don't think either of us would have made Alone with You as it is separate. It would be, if Emily went off and did Alone with You, it would be a very different film than if I had gone off and done it. And that's the fun when we come together, is we get to see something entirely new, and still have our own voices. I mean, Bed is such a fun film because Emily took a real solid choice in the voice of that film. She made such a decision on how its absurd nature of everything.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos, Dogtooth.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. And Killing of a Sacred Deer, which is my favorite.
It's my favorite too.
but also the favorite. And
Yep.
I just love his work, and I love his approach with actors. It's so odd. It's so strange, that
Yeah.
wasn't unfamiliar to me because I had done absurdist theater in London. I had,
Mm-hmm.
I had studied Ionesco, and and Howard Barker, the great Howard Barker, has a bit of absurdism in his plays too. I just wanted to attack it from like, what does this feel like? Because everybody, I don't want to spoil the short, because it'll come out on Alter, but like the experience that this character is going through is, it is absurd. She is afraid of a physical object in her house, the bed, and if your friend told you that they were afraid of their bed, you'd be like, well, you need to see a therapist probably. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's, it seems absurd until you understand. And so I really wanted to approach it from that kind of acting, filmmaking, absurdism, and then build towards something that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a little bit of a pivot, but Emily, I was wondering, could you give me a log line for our audience for Alone with You? And like, what is Alone with You about for someone that may not know?
Alone with You is a nightmarish love story about a woman who is preparing a romantic evening with the woman that she loves and is confronted by the horrors of her past, her present, and ultimately of herself. Is that good? I think that's.
I really liked it. Um, Justin, I was wondering, could you also give me your own log line for this film?
Oh, wow. That's
You didn't
that's
get away.
I know you're
No,
always the one-
sorry.
I always get to scoop this off to Emily.
No.
Yeah, I would say Alone with You is a story of a woman excited for a anniversary night with her lover, that suddenly has to come to grips with a ghostly presence that isolates her in far more ways than one.
Oh my god, why am I so scared right now? Because I'm gay and I live alone, and then you made me watch this movie.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so speaking of that, I was really affected in a good way by this having such a impactful queer storyline. As a queer horror fan, you'd think in 2022 I'd have more chances to see
Right?
queer
I know.
leads, and I don't. So I
Yeah.
was wondering, where did the decision to make Charlie a queer woman come from? Because I'm really happy that you did.
I mean, there's a very practical side of it, and then there's the story side of it, I think.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, the more, I mean, honestly, artistic and side of it is that we wanted this film to be entirely female. We wanted
Mhm.
every single voice in this film, spoken voice, is female.
Yeah, that has to
Um,
be, and there's a distinctive reason that had to be there. For sure.
Exactly. And not to
Okay.
spoil anything, but
Yeah.
it this is a female film. Every
Mhm.
character in this film, aside from, a man that you see, you never hear,
Yeah.
but it's entirely female. And that was incredibly important. This is a very feminine film. This is a film about relationships amongst women and all different kinds of relationships. We have the mother-daughter, we have the lover relationship, we have the friend, that we further developed, and you only see kind of a glimpse into Charlie and Thea's friendship, but that was developed even further as well. And
There's
yeah,
also
and
this is a film about isolation.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
is a huge portion of this, both internally and I mean practically. She is isolated away from the people that she loves. But in that story of isolation, I think that there is something in that. That isolation is very different for a queer couple than it would be
Mm.
for a straight couple. I mean, there's
Mhm.
most certainly the story told in the relationship with Charlie and her mother. There's those microaggressions and those pushes that frankly a straight person doesn't have to deal with on day to day,
Mhm.
and it's not overt, it's not in your face, And that's why a lot of people don't understand it. But it's something that isolates. It's something that pushes
It's
them
insidious.
to the corner. Yeah, and that was being a story about isolation. We wanted that to be told throughout, both body and soul, and I think that's something that really creates the character that we wanted to run through this story.
I think it was a really strong choice. It really, I don't know, as a queer fan, it really brought me into it even further. I love that you brought up the character, am I saying it right? Thea, played by Dora Madison. I know this film is going to get a lot of attention for some of the on-screen roles from Barbara Crampton specifically, because of course, what an icon, and she's terrifying in this film. But I was really, really drawn to the moments with Thea on the phone. She was hilarious. What does she say? She has one of my favorite lines in the film, which is, "I'll smile when you die." I don't know who came up with that. That made me laugh a lot.
Yes, that's actually a reference. Justin wrote that. That's actually in reference to another short film that I wrote and directed called Smile for Me.
Okay.
Where a guy follows a girl down an alley and basically is like, "Hey, baby, why don't you smile for me?" And he pays for it. He pays for it. Yeah. And basically Justin was just like, "Let's give her that line." And so that's one of our favorite lines too. It's like an inside joke for us.
Oh, I didn't even know, but it made me laugh and laugh.
I'm so glad.
And I needed a laugh partway through this film. No offense, I needed it.
That's her purpose, and she plays it so well.
Well, we were on the festival circuit, and honestly, we've seen the film so many times. Like, this film is us. This is our DNA. We can't hide. This is all us. But so we can't watch it every single night. But on the festival circuit, we basically we realized that once we hit Thea's first conversation and she's like, "Girl, get to the bar." Like, once we got to that place and Charlie actually talks to her on the phone, like, every single night the audience would laugh and we would be like, "Okay, thank God." And we could go get a cup of coffee or something because we had to listen because it's such a quiet film in places, but we needed to know if we got them. And they, every single time, they would laugh with Dora's performance. And
the
we were
minute
just like,
we we heard that laugh, it was like we got to take the world off our shoulders. It meant like they were there, they were watching it, and they were engaged, because that so honestly, Dora's performance is such a godsend every time we watch this with an audience, because that's the one. If that goes past and we don't hear anything, we're like, "Oh shit, this is going to be a long ride."
Oh, and I have to jump in too, because our DVD is coming out. I think it's going to be available February 8th, for sure, in stores February 22nd. But on that, we have BTS and bloopers, and Dora, we let her improv. Oh my God. Like, there are vodka popsicles at some point. There is like way more yelling at the guys in the butt. Like, it's hilarious. So if for nothing else, like, get the DVD to like watch Dora Madison just work. She's incredible.
Oh, I will. And Dora Madison of Friday Night Lights fame, of course. I clocked.
I know.
So that was cool. And just like with Barbara Crampton, these characters have levity and are interesting, and then by the end become some of the scariest moments in this film. And thank you for that, because I like a good scare. How did Barbara Crampton become involved in the project?
We had our casting director, David. Is fantastic, and he's actually working with us on another project we've had going on. But we were doing this film, reached out to him. He really loved it, and he wanted to help, and he brought us the name Barbara Crampton. And of course, anybody that has ever enjoyed any horror, anything, knows who Barbara Crampton is. And we were this was such a small film. We were like, "Sure, David. Yeah, sure, you go and do that. Like, that's possible." And he sent her the script, and she really responded to it. She really loved that first conversation between Charlie and her mother. And that, when David came back and he said, "Yeah, Barbara really wants to get on the phone with you." And or just absolute blown away like that. It was,
Oh, it was
and
such a joy, and she's so kind and so
it was so easy.
and it was so great to hear from someone like her with such a pedigree and such incredible work behind her. She does the work. There are actors who just show up and they're them. She does the work.
Oh, absolutely.
And she showed up and she really appreciated how we wrote that scene. She was like, it's not, this character isn't just a pure villain. There is nuance here, and that's what drew her in. It's not this cliche character. It is this deep part of Charlie's life. She has her own life, and she, it was really fascinating to work with Barbara on that. And she was a rock star. Like we sent her a camera. She set up everything, hair and makeup, and
she was so, and honestly, even in her, like in our conversations about the character, what kind of like locked us in right away is just the fact that Barbara had something to say about the character. Like she had ideas. She had really thought about it and brought herself to it. And that was just such a wonderful thing to hear from somebody that we have enjoyed for so long, that she was being very thoughtful towards the project, as she is all her projects. And that was just, it was such a fun move forward from that first conversation, because she's so easy to talk to. She's so easy to work with. She's such a professional. And from the moment we got past the like, ooh, it's Barbara jitters, it was right into just wonderful working relationships. She's just, I cannot go on and on enough about Barbara Crampton. I will work with her every opportunity I get.
It's such a celeb name that sometimes I forget that she's an excellent actor, and she gives an excellent performance.
She really does
in this. I'm really fascinated about what your festival tour was like. You had a Fantastic Fest premiere, which is like, can it get any bigger than that? But this was during the pandemic, so I'm just wondering, what were some of the highlights and what were some of the more like strange elements of a pandemic festival tour?
Well, we were really fortunate because this is pre-Omicron. This is kind of when people were poking their heads out of the soil a little. They were just like, oh, can we go out? And honestly, we didn't know Fantastic Fest was going to be in person. That was like on a razor's edge for a minute. Yeah. And then it happened and we showed up and it was our first time there. And it was incredible. Are you kidding? Like the Alamo Draft House is like my favorite place to go. Like we have a place in Brooklyn and like I make sure to live
our first
within
date.
Yeah, that was our first date. It's like walking distance from anywhere we live in Brooklyn because it's my favorite movie theater. And it's I mean, it was a dream, and the audience was just so kind and so. I mean, the audience at Fantastic Fest, they're into weird, fun stuff. Like they're game, and we're the young indie filmmakers, and so they were just really supportive and enthusiastic, and tons of huge titles there. So we felt a little like just okay, we're like starting out. I have to say though, Telluride Horror Show showed up. That is a festival to go to. Oh my God.
If you haven't got Telluride, was that's one of my favorites. I loved the one nice thing about the fact that we were kind of in this gray area of COVID. Like people thought we had beat it, tricks on us. But we at least got to go and see our film in the theater, which is something I was such a gift. And I know so many filmmakers now with Omicron kind of spreading again, and they don't get that, and that breaks my heart. But one thing that was interesting is people kept on telling us like, usually this is so big and there's all these huge parties and all this huge stuff. And I'm something of a wallflower to begin with. So I actually really enjoyed that it was a little more intimate.
Yeah.
It was a little easier to kind of chat with everybody and feel
we made good friends.
Yeah, we got to meet some wonderful filmmakers that I've enjoyed for years. I mean, you had Simon Barrett on your show. We were
had the pleasure of meeting him.
I've
like,
loved
Cool.
Simon's work for so long, and we got to be, because it was such a small, intimate kind of situation. We actually got to get to know people and make friends, and so that part of it was so wonderful. And that's also in Telluride. That was one of my favorite things. Is just Telluride is this little town. You're in the middle of it, so the filmmakers are right there next to all the people watching the films. So you get to meet everyone and talk to everybody about your movie or the movies that they love, and it was so much fun. It's just, I mean, we love horror films, so.
It was honestly just such a gift, and Salem was incredible. Like Kay is just phenomenal.
So that's where I saw your film. I was trying to pinpoint where it was. It must have been
Salem.
Was Salem or Bed? Did you have Bed in Salem?
Yes,
Bed was also,
So that's definitely where I saw Bed. Good to know. Salem is amazing.
So wonderful, and she is a powerhouse running that
the
festival.
entire thing on her own. Like,
and it's the
brilliant.
best.
And
it's the best.
Yeah,
I couldn't be happier with our festival run. We got to,
and then Screamfest, which was awesome too.
We
to
got
play the
yeah.
theater, like
we hit all the ones
LA.
we had to hit. It was pretty great.
Yeah,
that's so exciting, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you guys managed to kind of squeeze in there, because I'm happy you got to see it in a theater. Although out of all the films in the festival world that would have really shined in like a digital platform, it would have been this guy. So
thank
but
you.
still.
Well, hopefully it finds that new life in this next. It's going out to the world pretty soon, so that's terrifying in and of itself. But hopefully, people watch it at home and look behind them when
I'm sure they will. And you guys have, the biggest, baddest names in horror supporting you with Dark Star and Raven Banner. Like, this
awesome.
is going to be huge.
So
Oh,
yeah.
We're so, like, we're pinching ourselves. We're so grateful for all of it, and they've been incredible partners.
Well, it's just started. Can you remind us when we're going to be able to see Alone for You? Oh, no, Alone with You. There we go.
Yeah, so we're playing select cinemas around the US February 4th and February 5th. And then the film will be out on all major VOD platforms, Google Play, iTunes, Dish, Roku, February 8th. And you should be able to get the DVD. I think you can order the DVD February 8th as well. And then it will hit shelves February 22nd.
Do you have one yet?
No.
We don't. We just approved the art, and it looks great.
I can't wait for you guys to get that. That's going to be wild. Do you have any physical copies of the stuff that you've worked on yet, or is this going to be the first one?
We don't have...
I think this is the first.
The first one we've worked on together. I have a very old movie I shot many years ago. And I have, like, all the records I used to play on. During my music days, but this will be the first time we get to hold our film.
Yeah.
I love that for you both. I can't wait for that to happen. Yeah. I'm wondering, where can this audience find you on the internet if you so wish to be found? Emily, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Emily R. Bennett, EmilYRBennett. And then I also have a website with a lot of my short films on it, EmilyReneeBennett.com.
Awesome. And Justin, what about you?
I'm J. Brooks Film on just about everything. So Instagram, Twitter, and my website is jbrooksfilm.com. So.
Awesome. And you'll be able to find them plastered on the Dread Central feed today. They're easy to find. And I'm just curious, Justin, if we wanted to find some of this music from your buried past, could we do that on the internet?
You can. Yeah. My bands were two bands. I played in a horror punk band back in the day called Bad Ash.
I love it.
And then a band called Ashers, which is both punk, like punk rock.
What's the ash come from?
Coincidentally, both of my bands have ash in it. Yeah. That was weird.
It's a coincidence.
Bad Ash was my band I started when I was much younger. And,
okay, cool.
That was my first touring band, and that was purely based off of Evil Dead. Good Ash.
I was hoping that was the answer. So.
Yeah. So that was you can tell my love for horror in that band as most of the songs are there's a song called Creepy, a song called I Killed My Ex-Girlfriend with a Chainsaw. There's multiple horror.
He did. Don't worry.
And the other band, Ashers, was it. So my singer has another much larger band, a band called The Unseen, and him and I and a group of guys had started Ashers. Ashers, I think the name was based off, there was a group in New York who used to have counseling sessions where they would sit around with one another and talk about how they would commit suicide if they did it. And they had called themselves the Ashers. And that was kind of their therapy to get past that, as they would talk about how they do it.
My gosh.
So that's where that,
I'm going to greenlight that Showtime series.
Like stats.
So that
was right after Yellow Jacket. I want to thank you both so much for chatting with me today. This was super fun. I say that all the time, but I really mean it today.
Thank you.
That's
awesome.
I cannot wait for this film to hit the world. It's going to make such a splash, and I can't wait to see what you guys are up to next.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yes. Thank you so much, Josh. The pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, this was so fun.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll be back with another episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.